What's good, gill grabbers? Welcome back to the channel. I actually did this video outside during the day, but the file got messed up with my intro. So here it is. What we're going to be talking about is my top baits for the month of February. With that being said, I'll let Past Me finish this up. We're going to talk about my top baits for the month of February. Now, some of these baits are going to be for later on in the month, and some of these baits are going to be for now, you know what I'm saying? Because here in the South, the weather gets a little bit more warmer, as you can tell. Short sleeve shirt, shorts. So it's a whole lot warmer here than it is up north. Up north, you guys are still dealing with ice and all of that other stuff. Boo-hoo. But with that being said, let's get into it. I kind of just messed up here. I kind of just did. I had the camera set on loop for when I'm fishing and not straight through for when I'm vlogging. So everything that I just said, I got to re-say it again. But we'll push through. First bait will be, and I'm going to do the shorter version of it because I don't want to have to keep going through all of that, is your umbrella rig. Check your state regulations. Check your state regulations because some places you can only have 3 hooks, some 2, some 5, like here in Georgia, which we're lucky. Yay us. And what you will want to do is to set this thing up to run true. And how I normally do it is I would actually use a 1/8 ounce weight on the top with a 2.8 swim bait. The back one would be a 1.8 also, but I have a 4.8, not a 1.8, I'm sorry, would be a 1/4 ounce with a 4.8. In the bottoms here, I would also have a 1/4 ounce with a 3.8. Again, like I said before, can't believe I got to do it again. Where you would fish this thing is on top of humps, ditches, drains, alongside bluff walls, next to laydowns. You don't want to fish it through a laydown unless you're going to fish this thing weedless. And even then, you still don't want to fish through laydowns. But those are the areas that you're mostly going to be looking for. Either flat on the bottom, you're going to roll it across humps, or next to laydowns. You're just going to fire it out there, let it hit bottom, pop it up, but then you retrieve, slow reel, give it a couple of reel pops. Next on the list, again, which would be a 1-2 punch, you got, let go. You got the blade bait. For silence, you got the lipless crank for some sound. All right, so how that's gonna work is some days the fish are very lethargic and they don't want sound. You know what I'm saying? It was still in the wintertime. Sound is not your best friend majority of the time in the winter, unless you're getting that core response or you try to get that cat and mouse game of getting the bass to chase. That would be the only time that sound really works. And the 2 baits that I could think of for that, I'll talk about a little bit later. But you're going to fish these 2 baits the same way. There's a caveat for another bait that's similar to it that I'll talk about here shortly. But you're going to fire this thing out. One's solid, one's not, and you're going to bottom hop it. So you're just going to lift your rod up until you feel it vibrate about 3 or 4 times, kill it. Same thing here. Where this will not You could fish just like a lipless crankbait also, but I really wouldn't. I don't. I just don't. So I would change that over. If I'm looking for something solid, I would go with this Nomad Vertrex. You can also bottom hop this, but you come away with no sound, whereas this got sound. So with these two, either way, you're gonna be ticking the tops of grass. You're gonna be ticking the tops of grass as you're going through this fresh grass coming in. You guys up north, you guys don't have that grass growing back yet. Here in the south, we already got it beginning to grow back. It's just the south. I mean, we had that good snowstorm that we thought was gonna, I thought was gonna do a number on the grass out here and kill it. But it didn't. It didn't. And I kid you not. To look at it now and looking around here, it was all white. Don't really see that in the south. And my time in the military, I see my fair share of snow. And just something you don't expect in the south. But to move on, we're going to go with a square bill. Now the square bill, mainly a flat-sided for this time of year, you got that tight wobble. You want to fire that up shallow when they're up shallow, or if you're going deep, you want to bring it down and get down there to get them. The Little John, up shallow next to laydowns, on top of humps. I really wouldn't go with ditches or anything like that. Rocky, steep rocky points, that's another good one. That's where you want to fish this guy. Your larger baits, you want, again, speed cranking. You want to go into ditches, also on top of humps. You want to go into drains when the bass is sitting on the bottom. Where we are. The next thing will be a reaction bait strike. And you can't go wrong with a jerk bait this time of year. Can't go wrong with it. The only thing about a jerk bait is fishing in a hole will teach you patience. A jerk bait will really teach you patience, especially in the wintertime. It's going to really teach you that. Because for the simple fact, your pauses have to be so much longer than you normally would have them. It's got to be so much longer. So instead of the quick snaps of the rod, and you're saying you give them half a second to a second, maybe a second and a half of a pause time, now you got to start off between 3 to 5 seconds. And sometimes your pauses would have to go all the way to 30 seconds. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to wait for 30 seconds for a bass to come up to bite my bait. No. At the longest I'll wait is 10. If I can't get him bit, or if a bass is not coming to the strike zone to react to my bait within 10 seconds, I'm just gonna move on and try to find something else to do to try to catch him. But you got the Megabass Vision 110. I prefer, which I don't have any on me right now, but the Megabass Vision 110 +1 Junior. Fishing with the grandkids, and they done lost a lot of my baits, which they gotta learn though. They gotta learn, but they gotta learn on such an expensive bait. Gosh. The next thing on my list, I'm going to say a Swimbait. Now the Swimbait is going to be a giant category, or not giant, but a pretty large category in itself. And you got extremes, and then you have finesse. On the extreme side of things, you're looking at the Megabass Mag Draft. The Megabass Mag Draft in the 8-inch. This right here is the, I believe, this is the 6-inch, which I haven't gotten to the point where I fished the 8 yet. I got them. I just don't feel that confident yet in doing it. I might do a video on me like getting more confidence with the 8-inch mag draft, but we'll see. From there, mag draft, you're going to fish this thing pretty much everywhere you would fish an umbrella rig. Everywhere you would fish an umbrella rig. You just fire that thing out, and because it's the mag draft, you know what I'm saying, you'll feel the cadence that you need to be at as far as your reel handle turn. You don't really have to do anything else. It's really just a chunk and wind bait. But if you want to add a little razzle dazzle to it, once you come up on cover, you can give it a quick rod pop or kill it and start back up again at the same speed that you are reeling at that cadence. You can do that to get the bass more curious in your bait. Now, I don't have any of the other baits that I'm finna talk about. Well, the other bait that I'm finna talk about, but we're gonna go to the finesse set of things, and that would be strolling. Here lately, strolling has been the deal. People have been doing it. I mean, you can see it all over social media where people are strolling, constantly catching pretty good bag. And with that being said, you could go with that route or an underspin. Because here in February, the water level, well, not the water level, but there's finna be more rain coming in. There's gonna be more rain coming in, which is gonna dirty up the water. An underspin would be phenomenal. The only other caveat to that, if I use that word right, the only other thing that I would do different besides those two swim baits, which would be the next thing coming up, and it's specifically in this color, would be a chatterbait. Now with chatterbaits, I would go with either a red, and because the water's finna get pretty dirty, I would go with a white and chartreuse. This right here is the original Z-Man chatterbait, which I've had great success with them. Now, don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying? You have the jackhammer with the hidden blade on it. You do have that. You have the Thunder Cricket out there, which is also a good option, but you're gonna pay for them. You're going to pay. But I figure the original is cost effective, and you can get pretty much the same result on these as you can on the Thunder Cricket, the jackhammer, or the Evo. You can get the same results. You know, it's just how you fish them and where you fish them. That's the part that is the key. You have also the jackhammer with the tungsten head. Mind you, it's not red. You want red or white and chartreuse, especially when the rain starts falling. Guys, those are my top baits for the month of February. And, you know, this month is going to be a very interesting month. The females are really starting to develop those eggs in their body, getting ready for that magical time, which would be the spawn, which I can't wait to get out there and put it to them. But if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you out there on the water.